Hello class, today we're looking at chapter 4-1, ratios. So we are going to take a look at writing ratios and comparing them to quantities. A ratio is a comparison of two quantities by division. You can write a ratio three different ways. The first way is you could put 5 to 7. There are 5 peaches and 7 apples, so the ratio is 5 to 7. You can also write it with 2 dots, 5 to 7, or you could write it in fraction form, 5 to 7. Okay, so please be sure you have all 3 of those options. So let's take a look at writing ratios. So we have this picture right here. It's a little small for you there. Of piano keys. So right here there's a box that is highlighted of the piano keys, and it wants you to do the black keys to all the keys. Let's move that just so we can see a little bit better. So there are 5 black keys. Whoops. 5 black keys, and in all these keys we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. So black keys to all the keys. So there's 5 black keys, all the keys, there are 12. 5 to 7. So remember, we can write it the way that we did. We can put 5 to 12. Oops, I think I just said 7 back there, but 5 to 12. Or we can write it 5/12. So using this same picture, you try it. You're going to first do the white keys to all the keys, and then you're going to do the white keys compared to the black keys. Press pause, figure this out, come back to me when you're done. Please remember to write it all 3 ways. Okay, so you should have got 7 to 12, 7 dot dot 12, or 7 over 12. And for the second one, 7 to 5, 7 to 5, 7 over 5. So let's move on to ratios that name the same number are equivalent ratios. Let's go ahead and write that in. So equivalent ratios. So in a previous class we learned about writing equivalent fractions. If you remember back that far, you can find equivalent ratios by writing a ratio as a fraction and finding an equivalent fraction. So we have the ratio 4 to 5. And if it says that it wants to find an equivalent fraction, we can take the number 4/5 and multiply it really by any number, but let's do 2. And whatever we do to the top, we have to do to the bottom. 4 times 2 is 8. 5 times 2 is 10. So the equivalent ratio is 8/10. 8 over 10. And like I said, you could multiply it by 3, so it could be 12 over 15. You could multiply it by 10, so it could be 40 over 50. All of those are equivalent ratios. So there are many, many answers that would be correct. Write the ratio 2 yards to 20 feet in simplest terms. Well, this is a little bit tricky because this is in yards and this is in feet. So we have to know how many yards are in a foot or how many feet are in a yards. So in each yard, there are 3 feet. So this might be if you don't know what it's asking and you are not very good with conversions like me, you might have to look it up. So this particular case, they're in 1 yard, that equals 3 feet. Okay, so in 2 yards, we're going to go 2 times 3 equals 6 feet. So that means 2 yards equals 6 feet. And if we did 6 feet over 20 feet, that's our ratio, but then it says in simplest forms. So now we need to reduce. So we can divide each of these by 2. If we divide 6 by 2, we get 3. And 20 divided by 2 is 10. So that is our answer, 3 over 10. Okay, so you try these next two. You're going to find an equivalent fraction for 7/9 and then write the ratio 3 gallons to 10 quarts. Here's a hint for you on the second one. There are 4 quarts in 1 gallon. 4 quarts in 1 gallon. Come back to me when you're done. Okay, so for the first one, and like I said before, you could have many answers that are correct. So you may not have got this, you may have multiplied the top and bottom by something else. I multiplied by 2, so I got 14 over 18. And then for the ratio 3 gallons to 10 quarts, I turned the 3 gallons into quarts, so I multiplied by 4. 3 times 4 is 12. So I had 12 quarts over 10 quarts. To reduce that, because it said simplest form, I divided each, the top and bottom, by 2 and got 6 over 5. Okay, so now let's look at comparing ratios. So an official U.S. flag has the length of the ratio 19 to 10. The largest U.S. flag measures 505 feet by 255 feet. Is this an official flag? So we need to take these numbers and see if they can reduce down to that, 19 to 15. So we're looking here, an official flag is 19 over 10. Oh my goodness, I'm getting my words mixed up today. The largest flag is 505 over 255. So what they did is they turned it into a decimal, and to do that you just divide on your calculator. 19 divided by 10 equals 1.9. And so on this side, you divide 505 divided by 255, and it equals 1.98. Since 1.98 is not equal to 1.9, the largest flag is not an official U.S. flag. So it has to be exact. Even though that's close, it is not. So let's look at these ratios and tell whether they are equivalent or not. So if we do it the way that they did it above, you're going to take your calculator and do 7 divided by 3, and that equals 2.33, and it keeps going. If we take 128 and divide that by 54, that equals 2.37. So they are not equivalent. I'm just just going to abbreviate it. Okay, so the next ones, 180 divided by 240, that equals 0.75. 25 divided by 34 equals 0.735. There's a few numbers after that, but we'll keep it at that. So also not equivalent. So with this one, if we go 6.1 divided by 7, that's going to be 0.87. We'll do 1/4. It goes on after that. And if we go 30.5 divided by 35, we get the same number, 0.8714 goes on. So yes, these are equivalent. So dividing them out is the easiest. You really could look and see how this 7 times 5 equals 35. Does 6 times 5 equal 30.5? Yes. So that also is a way to tell that it's equivalent, but dividing them out's pretty darn easy. Okay, so your homework today is page 130, numbers 1 through 25 odd. Happy homeworking!